Can you relate to this story? I'm the executive director of a community organization. We're facing cutbacks again this year. I might have to lay off staff. It's not good for morale. Staff is unhappy. There's a lot of conflict and absenteeism. The clients aren't coming in. I'm not sure that the services we're allowed to offer are the ones most needed by the clients, so we're not making the service numbers the funders set. The board is on my back, micromanaging, not understanding their roles. They're impatient for change, but not giving me the guidance I need. Our annual strategic planning process is stale and dry and not really getting to the heart of what is not working, in our organization and how we could do things differently. We can't get money from funders to hire a facilitator to take us through a strategic planning process. The political climate is hostile and getting worse. The program officers with the funding organizations are harried and stressed themselves, and they take it out on us. I know that sweeping changes need to be made, but I'm not sure we have the resources to make them. We've seen organizations around us having to shut down. Jobs have been lost, communities have suffered. I just don't see any clear, concise answers that we can implement today to become the viable, vibrant organization that our community needs right now. If you can't relate to that whole story, maybe you can relate to some of it. I'm Zainab Amadahi. I'm an author, a screenwriter, and community worker with over 30 years of experience working in housing, women's services, the arts sector, First Nations organizations, migrant services, and many other sectors. I've also been an activist around Indigenous issues, anti-racism, and various other issues, and that paragraph that I just read was me a few years ago. So I'm here to talk to you about Spirit Wize, which offers professional development resources, including workshops that will enable you, if you're doing community work, to empower yourself, change your life, and make joyful contributions to your organization, as well as support people you work for and with. And you'll do that in a way that contributes to social transformation and collective well-being for all of us. Community organizations today are struggling to survive in these times of funding cuts and greater need. As your workload increases, your resources are dwindling, and the political climate is growing harsher. You might be afraid for your job. You might be working with people who are afraid for their jobs. Your organization might be in some kind of crisis or heading there. Your stress levels are through the roof. Your organization might even mirror the unhealthy social dynamics that it's supposed to be addressing. Crisis management becomes the norm rather than the exception, and you find your organization stuck in repeating loops with no clear answers on how to break out of dependence and become more sustainable for the sake of your clients and communities and, frankly, your own wellness. Hope and optimism are fading and are being replaced with fear and a sense of impending doom. And again, I know because I've been there. So if this is your experience of community work, of course you find it stressful, saddening, and maddening. You feel drained rather than enriched by the work that you do. You fear your organization isn't making the difference it could. You fear the funders are not impressed. And that's a terrible place to be. It's very disheartening. Don't you wish you could revive your enthusiasm, your spirit of optimism, that belief that anything is possible? Don't you want to feel as though your work is contributing to positive social change? Well, guess what? Anything is possible, and I'd like to help you feel that way again. I'd like you to go home from work every day feeling renewed, energized, and satisfied in a day well lived. I'd like you to have the information and resources to ensure that the work you do has the biggest possible impact. Before I get on to explaining how I can help you, I'd like to share a bit of my story. As I mentioned, I've worked in the community sector most of my life. I also have a background in medical technology and training in photovoltaic technology, which is solar technology or solar energy technology. Sometimes as a community worker, I felt really frustrated. I felt time and time again, organization after organization, that we were crisis managing and not really doing any crisis prevention. We were catching a few people here and there who would slip through the cracks, but nothing was really being done to shore up those cracks, to make the social, political, and economic changes that would ensure justice and equity for everyone. I became an activist and almost lived a double life. Community work on the one hand in the system, and activism on the other hand, working to change the system. Now I'm proud of the work I did, but I burned out. I got sick, I got injured. Depression set in, and I eventually left the sector, which, though unfortunate, was a gift in disguise because it led me to where I am now. My journey on this path really started when I began researching ways to heal myself, to stay well, and researching new and emerging science for some of the writing projects that I got into. I also began to explore my Indigenous heritage, and I absorbed songs, stories, oral histories, cultural teachings from elders that work in and around Toronto. And all of these things that I was doing suddenly one day intersected. My life shifted. In fact, my life has shifted more than once and keeps getting better and better. I cured myself of some physical ailments that I had. Gallstones, for example. I was told that surgery was my only answer, but today I no longer have those gallstones, and I never had that surgery. I got off medication. I was told that I would need for the rest of my life. I healed a knee injury that I'd lived with for decades. My life really changed, and eventually those changes accelerated to the point where I felt like I could start sharing some of the information and tools that have helped me. So I've been doing that now for a couple of years through my writings and workshops. Fundamentally, what happened is that I changed my relationship to myself and my life. I shifted my relationship to the concept of community and community work. Now, I know that sounds a bit abstract, but what happened is that I was able to transcend the frustrations and fears and disillusionment I felt about community work. And with that, my whole vision of a socially just future became very real, very concrete, very doable, and within reach. I got excited about my work and my life, and now I enjoy a sense of optimism and joy about the future I'm co-creating with others. I wake up happy and passionate about my work, and best of all, I can see, sense, and measure the changes that I'm helping to make. And I'm not, and not in the way that we do it for funders. I celebrate every day the role that I play in shifting the paradigm, transforming our political, economic, and social systems, and doing it in a way that is sustainable and reflects the ebb and flow of life. What helped me get to this place was understanding some of the new science and old wisdom about healing and wellness generally, but also about interconnection and interdependence. What makes cooperatives, groups, teams, collectives, and organizations effective? What keeps us collectively inspired, motivated, and committed to work sustainably, smarter, and with more heart? What helps us learn, process, and retain information that we need to do our jobs? What scientifically proven approaches are most likely to produce the results that we want, the outcomes we're working for? I'm talking, of course, more about, it's more than process. It's more than tools. I'm talking about changing the underpinnings of the way we think, the way we talk, the way we see the world. I'm talking about connecting at a very deep level to life force and spirit and energy, in the sense that science understands energy. How do we connect to each other? How do we measure that connection? How do we gauge that connection? How do we relate to the past? How do we connect to the past, the future? How do we connect to the earth in a way that not only energizes us as individuals and brings us joy, but also fast tracks our work of co-creating, with others, this better world that we all believe in and are working towards. So I've designed these Spirit Wize workshops to kickstart you and your organization through a transformative process. Unlike a lot of professional development trainings, I'm less about, strategic planning and fundraising, which are important, and I can do them, but I actually go beneath all of that, beneath the skills training, to the fundamentals, to the roots, you might say. And I work at the level of spirit or energy, if you like. All based in science, but there are, of course, many wisdom traditions that have already known this stuff for millennia. So I look at feelings, thoughts, attitudes, beliefs, and how mainstream ideas and NGO, not-for-profit culture might actually be limiting our potential to do and be more for ourselves and our communities. You'll see on my website that I have some pre-designed workshops. from self-care to collective empowerment, transform conflict, change your relationship with time, team and consensus building, achieving personal and collective goals. That's my favorite. The science and spirit of social justice. I can also customize workshops to fit your organizational needs depending on what issues you're confronting at this time. Who can benefit from these sessions? EDs, community workers at all levels, admin staff, managers, frontline folks, board members, volunteers, students, interns, placements, whoever is doing or interested in doing community work. The concepts that I share in these sessions are time-tested, scientifically valid, and easy to incorporate into your day-to-day. They feel good, they catalyze change very quickly, they shift dynamics, energize people, and as I mentioned, achieve results. They get you the outcomes that you're working towards. On an individual level, what you learn in these workshops will improve your health, enhance your immune system, accelerate your body's healing capacity, as well as enhance your problem solving and creative capacities. So you can see how people with these advantages in a group would enhance the functioning of the group. At the level of connection, these workshops teach you how to enhance your awareness of measurable energies that we exchange, how we are impacting each other's bodies and minds, even without uttering a word, how we are measurably impacted by other life forms on the planet and the planet herself. Much of this below the level of our awareness, but we can certainly become more aware of it. In looking at electromagnetism, neuroplasticity, biological processes, and so on, in plain language, we can explore the benefits and advantages of cooperation, kindness, sharing, generosity, consensus building, compassion, self-compassion, and so on. These workshops will enable you to shift unhelpful emotional baggage like, guilt, shame, frustration, fear, sadness, all of that stuff, and just bring pure joy and a sense of confidence about the impact you're working, that you're making in the world. Not to mention, your personal relationships. You won't be working out of fear of funders or managers, board members, leadership cutbacks, payoff, like layoffs, and so on. No more fear. You'll be inspired and motivated, and you will enjoy results. What are some of the benefits that you can derive from my workshops? You'll enhance your problem-solving and creative capacities. You'll be happier, calmer, and just feel better all around. Group processes will improve. The board-staff relationship will become more effective and amicable. You'll attract and retain volunteers, collaborators, partners, new members, sponsors, whoever you need to work with. You'll easily and effortlessly expand your networks. You'll be more impactful, sustainable, and effective. You'll get the results you need to impress funders, sponsors, community members, whoever you need on side to be able to get your work done. In the end, you'll be making a difference, a big difference that won't stop growing. So on that note, I sincerely hope that you'll be in touch and that we can talk about your needs and your organization's needs, and that I can support your transformation, your evolution, and your joy about making a difference in the world. If you're on my website, you'll see that I have a contact link, so please be in touch. If you're watching this video on YouTube, there's a link to my site below this video. There are plenty of free resources on my site, so enjoy. Thank you, and I hope to talk to you soon. Zainab Amadahi, Spirit Wize. Bye for now.